Welcome to Spare Room Studio, a place to create and relax. Hi everyone, today we're going to do completed pages for February 2025, and I worked in 11 books this month. I got a total of 26 pages done. I have actually got another page done, but I'm not going to show it just yet until my buddy has seen it. It was a buddy colour. So I'm going to get started in Rooms of Wonder. Now these are not in any particular order. Rooms of Wonder by Johanna Basford. And I got a few done in this one this month. Very detailed book. But I have to be in the mood to colour in this book, and I like the designs a lot. But I just have to be in the right frame of mind to colour them. So this one is water-based markers with coloured pencil and some gel and glitter pens. Another detailed spread here. I did both of these pages. These are water-based markers, these two. And what I did was, because I don't particularly enjoy doing these repeating patterns or wallpaper pages, once I found a colour that I liked on this side, I went over to here and found a mushroom and started colouring the whole, every single one of those mushrooms, and then came back and did a bit more on this page. And again, when I found a colour I liked, I took it over there. So this is actually combination of Faber-Castell connector pens along with the Crayola Colours of the World. I find that they're great not only for skin tones, but they're also great for all these neutral colours for natural elements. So to get through this, I put an audio book on. I had those two sets of markers to hand, and I just coloured, while I was listening to the audio book. And then this particular page here, this is water-based markers again. I think it was Faber-Castell connector pens, coloured pencil over the top, and some Jelly Roll glaze pens. I've also used a little bit of metallic in places. And again, just picked an element, looked for it, and just kept colouring it over and over. I tried to keep this to a reasonably limited palette. The purple wasn't a great choice here, but once it was done, it was done. So that is Johanna Basford, Rooms of Wonder. Then I went to a smaller book, Mein Reise durch Europa by Rita Burman. And I did a couple of these pages quite quickly because they're small pages. And this particular one is all pencil. I don't work in all pencil very often anymore. Being a smaller book, it was better because it was quick. I tend to want to work fast and get lots of pages done now. I don't want to labour over coloured pencil very often. And this particular one, I used this set, Bruinzeel, and these pencils are probably 15 to 20 years old. You can see here an old ticket. I paid $33 for 20 pencils, and this was quite some time ago. I don't even know if these ones are still available. I haven't looked for them, but you can see that for the time that I've owned them, I haven't used them an awful lot. There's just been a few that I've liked more than others. But that's what I decided to use on here. This one, you might be able to see that there is a bit of weird ghosting going on just in here. And when you close the book, you can see that that corresponds to this section here, has somehow made a bit of a resisting happen here. And I used water-based markers on this side and then used a bit of water to dilute them, and it was once I used the water, you can see there are a few sections where this resisting has happened. I think that was Artex pencils on that side. I don't know why they've done that. I haven't worked, on any of the pages either side of it, and I could understand that transference if I'd been working really hard with a pencil on either side of them, but I haven't, so I'm not really got no explanation as to why that happened. I think it was Artex, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've never had it happen in any other books so far, so that's really a bit odd, but I do like the way that that one turned out. Water-based markers and coloured pencils is a really nice way to work for me. It's fast and it's convenient, and I like the results of it. So I tried to complement this page, which was already coloured, so I think that worked pretty well. And then the last one in this book is this little page here that I did again in those Bruinzeel pencils, and I think a couple of others from another set, but I can't even remember what I used now. But again, because it's a small page, I was happy to use the coloured pencil. And being a double-sided book, it might be the way I have to go. The border-based markers didn't bleed through when I used it very lightly with water, so that's probably how I will proceed with this little book, which is really cute. So then on to The Creatures of Ken Matsuda. This is the Hachette Heroes French version, and I am going to try and get some pages coloured in this every month if I can. I would like to completely colour this book in entirety. So this month I only did the one page, and that is for the Year of the Snake. I did this particular page and used Sakura Koi watercolours and Van Gogh watercolours in the Pinks and Violets set. I think I did a video for this one, if I remember correctly. And there may be a little tiny bit of pencil on there, but not a lot. So then on to Camilla Derrico's Pop Manga colouring book. I only did one in this particular book this month. Another book that I would like to get finished eventually. And this was a whip that I completed. It was water-based markers with coloured pencil over top, and then I used some acrylic paint markers to do the circles in the background, and I just chose all the different greens, grey, green, you know, going to the aqua to do the background. So I've got a couple of sets of paint markers, and I just kept you know, looking for those sorts of colours to do. And I think there's a little bit of water-based marker that I diluted as well in the background there. So that was probably Faber-Castell connector pens, I think, that one. On to Pop Manga Mermaids and Other Sea Creatures, and this one I completed this long time whip. This page was started with the Derwent Inktense pencils used as watercolours, and then I have used coloured pencil over the top, and over here I've used some Sakura Jelly Roll glaze pens just to try and get a bit of vibrance and a bit of shine happening on those little fish. This page is a big double spread, and I couldn't face colouring that whole background, and so I decided to do a swoop of colour to make her look like she's swimming up some sort of current or wave, and suggest that there's water there without having to colour the whole background, because I really couldn't face the idea of doing that whole background, and backgrounds really aren't my favourite thing to do. So on that, this particular page is water-based markers with acrylic paint markers and coloured pencil. And again, because I did not want to do that whole background and paint around every little crown, I also didn't want to cover the crowns. I didn't want to hide them, because then I thought that would have been a really boring background. So I decided to just do that one block of colour behind there, and that's the acrylic paint marker. I did that several times in this book in this month. Now this was another whip that I completed. It was based with Derwent Inktense pencils, And then I've used a bit of coloured pencil over there and some gel pen, and this is acrylic paint marker in the background again. Same thing, because it's the big head in the middle of the page and a lot of space around it, I didn't want to cover all of this up because then that would have just looked crazy with just, you know, a head floating in the middle of nothing. So I just decided to go for that block of colour behind it to sort of anchor it, and then those little details picked out with the gel pen. On to the last one, same thing again. It's, you know, these floating heads are really hard to know what to do with. And so I decided to do a square again. This is the acrylic paint marker in the background again. I did a water-based marker base, and then I've used coloured pencil over the top of it, and then come back with water-based marker again. So I've built the colour up to be quite saturated, and I chose those colours to correspond with that page that was already coloured. So I wanted that to work together, even though it's not a double spread. I just wanted it to complement each other. And I like the acrylic paint markers worked that way because if you've already got something behind, you don't want to necessarily bleed through, or you don't want to ruin a page behind. This is a good way to get some saturated deep colour without actually bleeding through. So the acrylic paint markers are really handy for that. So I'm really happy the way that that one turned out. So on to Nouveau Fairy Special, which is a Colouring Heaven magazine, and it features the art of Herb Leonard. I've featured, well, this features a lot this month because February is sort of Faebruary theme or fairy theme, and this was the perfect book to work in for that. And again, what I did with this book was I got that one set of markers, the Faber-Castell Connector pens, and then I got the Crayola Colours of the World out just for the skin, and I just worked, you know, in this book solid for a couple of days. I was in the comfy chair with the audio book going, listening to that, listening to some YouTube channels and podcasts and so on, and basically just kept working. So I used a little bit of pencil on this one, but you'll see there's some further on that I don't use any pencil at all. And this one was chosen to be for Valentine's Day as well as Faebruary, so I think that worked quite well. I really like the saturated, vibrant colour with that water-based marker base and the pencil over the top. So then this is another one that I did. I added some Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic into this one around the borders. Add a little bit of coloured pencil with the marker again. And I particularly like the way that colour works with the yellow there. I found that a really pleasing combination, that one. And again, this one was chosen for Year of the Snake. Because I enjoyed those two pages so much, I just kept going in this book. This one is Faber-Castell Connector pen again with Jelly Roll Metallics on the border. Crayola Colours of the World for the skin. No coloured pencil at all on this one. And I use a combination of just working with the marker direct onto the paper, and I also do wet some of it. Now this one hasn't been wet very much at all, so we haven't got much crinkling or bleed through for that one. So what I did when I was working in this book, the Faber-Castell Connector pens again with coloured pencils on this one and the Crayola Colours of the World. When I found a colour that I particularly liked, so for example like the blue, I went through and I used it on several pages and got pages started or little elements started, and didn't necessarily work on these pages from start to finish. I worked my way through several whips at a time, and then a couple of pages were sort of finished at the same time. So this one is Faber-Castell Connector Pens. It does not have any coloured pencil or anything else on that one. So Jane, if you're watching, lots of crinkle in this one. This is Faber-Castell Connector Pens with Jelly Roll Metallic. And I was really pleased with how this turned out. There is no coloured pencil on there at all. That is just the connector pen and a little bit of acrylic paint pen in white. Another one with Faber-Castell Connector Pens with Jelly Roll Metallic. And I think this is one of my favourite ones for this month. I used the neon for creating the highlights. And then the last one in this book is the Tulip Fae, or Ladybird as I think of it. Again, no coloured pencil on that one, that is just connector pens. And very little water. So you can see this one's starting to get a bit beat up now, but that means that it's well loved, I think. Okay, the only buddy colour that I've got to show you this month is in Serendipity by RJ Hampson, and this was with Joe at 120 Colours on Instagram. So I used Ohuhu alcohol markers with Crazy Art pencils. Really enjoyed working on that one. And this colour scheme, you may have noticed, the purple and the green has appeared quite frequently this month. That's Serendipity by RJ Hampson. This one is Sprukius Boss by Tomislav Tomic, and this is a book that I've owned for a while now. I think it's about June or July last year. I think I might have bought this one. It's not a new book. It was published in 2017, I think. Yeah. But I'm a bit slow to buying this one. And I was a bit nervous about colouring in it because it's so detailed, but I've got this page done here with water-based markers, some coloured pencil over the top, and some Secure Jelly Roll Metallic. So this has got a few double-sided pages in, but the majority of it is single-sided, so I'm thinking I might use some alcohol markers as well as the water-based markers in this book. It's all about fairy tales, I think, fairy tales in the forest or something like that, so I think it will be really fun to have it colourful and bright. This was a new book to me this month. I have to thank Annika at Axic Fumbles for putting this in front of me again. It's not a new book either. This one was, I think it was 2019 that this one was first published, and it's Christina McAllister, Serenea. I've seen it before, but I saw Annika colouring in it on her channel. If you haven't checked her out, go and have a look, because she's sharing some really good videos and techniques and tips for you. So her channel is called Axic Fumbles, and I will tag it or link it in the description box. But I liked the quirky characters in it. When I saw Annika colouring in it, it put it to my mind again that, yeah, I think I'd enjoy this one. Unfortunately, it is a really cheap Amazon printed paper, but that just allows me to play and experiment a little bit more with it. So I used water-based markers, the Faber-Castell Connector Pens with Crazy Art pencils, and there is a video where I do the background and the finishing touches. The figure has already been coloured before I start recording. But if you're interested in seeing how I do that, what techniques I do to blend the water-based markers, then have a look for that video. It was only recent. It does bleed right through. It has wrinkled the paper a lot. I did try to actually iron this, but I think I've made it worse by ironing it. And I just wanted to share with you too that you have to be careful with some of these Amazon printed books, because when I ironed it, I must have had the heat way too hot. And some of these pages have transferred over. They were all stuck together, so they've transferred over. And it doesn't matter for that page, but it has made a bit of a mess of some of these as well. So just be really careful when you're ironing an Amazon printed book, because sometimes that print does transfer. Doesn't always, so you have to be careful. But I obviously just was a bit careless and I used a bit too much heat, so I'll work with that though. So that's that one. And this is also a new to me book this month that I've worked in straight away, and it's Fairy Tales and Folklore by Emily Lederhall Oberg. Beautiful foiling there that you can see reflecting. And I decided to try some markers out on this front title page because I wasn't sure how the paper was going to cope with water-based markers. So that's what I've used here, some pigment markers and water-based markers. Very tiny bits of water on there just to see how it would work. But I wasn't sure that I liked what it was doing, so I just didn't use too much water on that at all. So that's that page, and I've also started on the next page with some different types of water-based markers. So I'm just feeling my way to see what the paper does. I wasn't going to buy this book, but I changed my mind because I decided that I wanted to have a few books with really nice paper, and I'd seen people working in this and creating some really lovely images, so I decided to give it a go. So just on that, I did purchase 3 books this month, and I've already worked in 2 of them. That was Fairy Tales and Folklore Serenea by Christina McAllister, and I've also bought Urban Anna colouring book, Enchanting Shop Fronts from Around the World. And this one I bought because I don't have too many books with architectural elements in, but this one I really liked because you've got the coloured original painting on the left to work from, and from an artist standpoint, because I want to get back into drawing and sketching more, this fascinated me to see how the initial drawing gets transferred into the watercolour. So even if I don't colour all of these images, I like it from an art reference book standpoint as well, to see how the artist has interpreted some of the elements. So it has nice paper as well, so I'm looking forward to trying some water-based medium in here and see how it reacts to the watercolour, or using Inktense or watercolour pencils or whatever. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having a go in this book. So that was my 3 book purchases this month. So quite a varied month. I focus very much on the Faebruary theme, a couple of Year of the Snake themed pages, but I thought I would just show you all together that I wasn't even aware that I was using a bit of a theme with colour this month until I saw all my pages together. And then I realised that, wow, even when I was using different supplies, so that was alcohol markers, this was water-based markers, I've still picked some very similar colour themes going. So, you know, that one's a little bit different with the orange there, but again, the purple and the, you know, the bluish greens, aquas. Where is it? So that was a totally subconscious choice to be choosing all of these colours. So let me know, do you have a favourite out of those ones this month? Let me know what you think. I hope you had a successful month, achieved any goals that you set yourself or anything that you wanted to achieve in your colouring. And I will see you again really soon. Take care until the next one. Bye now. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on the next one.